Hey guys, anyone out there yet? Just in case you're surprised, uh, Connie's not here tonight. Ooh, let me see. I'm trying to get used to all the new stuff that's here on the live thing. Okay. Hi, Susan. Good to see you. All right. So, I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes and we can hear dogs bark for a little while. I'm filling in for Connie, and my name is Yvonne McCarthy. Hi, girlfriend. And I am also known as Bariatric Girl. Oh, good. Lots of people coming. Yay. Love to you guys. Hi, Laura. All right. So let me get going here. For those that don't know, I had gastric bypass, open gastric bypass, 17 years ago, back in the dark ages. I was in the hospital for a week, and due to a glitch, I was without pain meds for like 8 hours. And it's a long story, and it wouldn't happen today, but back then, it was just proof that you really need to be your own advocate, always, but especially in a hospital. I obviously survived, and so it all worked out great. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. So we're going to get on with this. So, one of the coolest parts about meeting people who've had surgery is that we come in contact with people we would normally never meet. I mean, I'm fascinated by meeting different people when I learn something new that I would have never otherwise had the chance to experience. Be open and celebrate different types of people, because a lot of times we fear what we don't know, and we could be, they could be sharing some useful information, and we're like cutting them out because they're different. Really holds us back. But, in a way, how is that different from someone disregarding us because we were obese or are obese? The more compassionate and open we are, the more we'll have opportunities handed to us. So, end the war on fear in your life. I wanted to share some things, and one of them was a post that I put up, I think, last week or so, and several people seemed to like it, so I thought I'd repeat this in case you missed it. What I wrote was, to spend all your time wanting something you can't have totally wastes the beauty of our uniqueness. The problem is that even if you find that you can get into a size 4, 5 or 6 or jeans, 5 or 6 years later, it just becomes the size of the jeans you buy. And you can never recreate that joy that you had right at that moment. And so what do we do when we regain? We spend our time thinking about how we are less than. If we can go just get back into that those jeans, that everything will be perfect. But that's not true. So what you need to do is work toward what you want, and don't sit in your unhappiness and ruin today, because today is all we've got, guys. Life can be so tough. I'm going through dealing with elderly parents right now. It is not good. And last week, I can almost laugh at this now, had a pipe burst in the slab, and it was a slow leak, thank God. Had to get the fire department here to come out and try to turn the lever because it was stuck. And as it turned out, the fire department broke it off. So there was no way at all to turn off the water until 8 o'clock the next morning. So now I am intimately acquainted with a water vac, but everybody has a list of stuff that's going on in their life. Tonight I want to share some things written by others and some things I've written. And the first one that many of you may have heard, and this is so great, I could never read this enough, is Portia Nelson's autobiography, in 5 short chapters. So here we go. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault, and I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Sounds simple, and in ways it is, but I'm walking to the next block, so now I can take a different street, knowing full well there will be days when I take this street again and I'll walk right down into the hole, but next time I will be armed with the experience I gained and the time spent in the hole in the sidewalk. In 2008 and in 2016, I put on my blog a letter to myself. So I want to read just a little bit of what I put in the one that I did in 2008. So I said, Dear Bariatric Girl, 2002, I know you've tried it all, every diet on earth, every trick, lost and gained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, did I say hundreds, of pounds. You're about to get an opportunity to finally succeed. I'm not kidding. Don't be afraid. I know you think you'll fail just like every single time before. This time, it's going to work. Be prepared for weird stuff from friends and even family. Some friends will go away because you no longer are the holder of the fattest friend trophy. Believe me, when you give that trophy to someone else, they do all kinds of stuff to stop you. It's a fact. You were always the holder of the trophy, but you aren't anymore, and believe me, no one else wants it. So after you give that trophy away, things are going to move fast. People will talk to you that never saw you before. But make sure and appreciate it. Don't go to the dark side and resent the fact that you weren't spoken to while obese. You are part of the reason that happened anyway, because you felt so bad about yourself and you were sure no one wanted to talk to you. So some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, like, when I was at my highest weight, which was never ever recorded, I found a video, y'all don't believe, I'll share it sometime when I get over it. When I walked in the store, my head was down. I'm sure I was giving off all kind of vibes like, don't talk to me, I'm not worthy, I just want to get in and out of the store before someone notices me. But when we first start to lose weight, we're glowing and people want to talk to us. And I'm just saying that I know I was partially responsible for how I was treated. I am the biggest wuss, and even I wouldn't let someone treat me the way I treat myself. Okay, from Jack Canfield's The Success Principles. If having others believe in you and your dream was a requirement for success, most of us would never accomplish anything. We need to base our decisions about what we want to do on our goals and desires, not the goals, desires, opinions, and judgments of your parents, friends, spouse, children, and coworkers. Quit worrying, and I'm saying this to myself, what other people think about you and follow your heart. Most of the time, nobody's thinking about you at all. They're too busy worrying about their own lives. And if they are thinking about you at all, they're wondering what you're thinking about them. Think about it all the time. You are wasting worrying about what other people think about your ideas, your goals, your clothes, your hair, your home. All that time could be better spent on thinking about and doing the things that will achieve your goals. Unquote. Find someone that has what you want and ask them how they got it. Think enough of yourself to ask the questions. All they can do is say no, but sometimes they say yes. As a matter of fact, most times they will probably say yes because they feel good that you asked and they're happy to share. I mean, you never know unless you ask. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by asking. So we have been looking for it, and it has always existed inside of us. If you look for it in outside things like perfect weight, the perfect car, the perfect significant other, you're setting yourself up for failure because all of the outside things fade away as soon as you get them. If you never get them, they're always out there in the future, and you are never living for right now. Right now is all we have. The past is gone, the future's not here. You know, you can have every one of those things, but if you are not at peace within, if you don't love and accept yourself, none of it will work to make you happy. Nothing outside of us can make us happy. Nothing. And this is the lesson that I'm still learning. And I've mentioned this before, but I really think it's important. And I'm going to say it again. You know, all these things, all this wanting something you don't have, all those things are the greener grass on the other side of the fence. If you're always looking to get to the other side of the fence, you never get there. And even if you do get over the fence, there's just another fence and another, and you never, ever get there. So what do? You start to look at things in your life, you know, that you're fortunate to have, and start being grateful. When you covet anybody else's anything, there are just as many people wanting what you have. I mean, no matter what your life is like, there are hundreds and thousands of people on this earth who would give anything to be you. We are generally spending so much time wishing for things we don't have that we never appreciate the things we've got. You may think that's silly and no fun, but I believe it's equally silly and no fun to wish for something you don't have. Except I still want Laura Preston's hair. Okay, I admit it. You also don't always have to be right. When you have to be right, someone else has to be wrong. And there's that saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Some people, you know, live to put others down in order to make themselves feel important. In this way of thinking, you know, someone has to look down to feel positive about themselves. And this is the root of all bigotry, racism, sexism, and prejudice in the world. True self-worth does not come from looking down on anyone or anything else. It comes from awakening to our connection with everyone and everything. We are all precious souls that come from the same place. I mean, granted, some are sicker versions than others, and when we come across someone that's sick, we should feel compassion and then turn around and feel grateful that we are further down the road than they are. I mean, as long as we are judging and shaming ourselves, we are feeding back into the disease. We are feeding the dragon within that is sucking the life out of us. Many of my blog posts have said how we can ill afford guilt, blame, shame, judgment. But I love how Brene Brown points out that we believe perfection will alleviate the pain of those emotions. So if we understand perfection is not really possible, and that means we cannot avoid the pain, what do we do to avoid it? We stop doing things that cause the dehumanization of others. We stop actions that make others feel less than. Oh my God, forums, Facebook are full of people making others feel less than. They are full of people dealing out toxic shame. John Bradshaw wrote a book called Healing the Shame That Binds You. He discusses dehumanization or otheration, others making you feel less than. Toxic shame is either inhuman or dehumanizing. The demand for a false self to cover and hide the authentic self necessitates a life dominated by doing and achievement. Everything depends on performance and achievement rather than on being. Being requires no measurement. It is its own justification. Being is grounded in an inner life that grows in richness. Toxic shame looks to the outside for the happiness and validation, since the inside is flawed and defective. Toxic shame is spiritual bankruptcy. I mean, we have to believe I am enough. I am enough. And I think you're enough too. From John Canfield. I love this. Are there people in your life who only have to walk into the room and totally drain you of energy? I refer to these people as psychic vampires. They literally suck the life energy right out of you. Stop spending time with them. Are there people in your life who are always complaining and blaming others for their circumstances? Are these people always judging others, spreading negative gossip, and talking about how bad it is? Stop spending time with them as well. Are there people in your life who simply by calling you on the phone can bring tension, stress, and disorder to your day? Are these dream stealers who tell you that your dreams are impossible and try to dissuade you from believing and pursuing your goal? Do you have friends who constantly attempt to bring you back down to their level? If so, then it is time for some new friends. You're better off spending time alone than spending time with people who hold you back with their victim mentality and their mediocre standards. Make a conscious effort to surround yourself with positive, nourishing, and uplifting people. People who believe in you, encourage you to go after your dreams, and applaud your victories. Surround yourself with possibility thinkers, idealists, and visionaries. So like my friend Laura Preston says, close your circle. Okay. From The Dance of Human Souls, Robert Burney, he talks about how discernment is having the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the ability to feel the emotional energy that is truth. We cannot become clear on what we are seeing or hearing if we are reacting to emotional wounds that we have not been willing or able to feel, and subconscious attitudes that we have not been willing or able to look at. You've heard the saying, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Black and white thinking causes us to either keep the baby in the dirty bathwater or throw out both. Discernment is picking the baby out of the dirty bathwater. I believe Robert Burney says some incredible things, but there's a few pages I didn't like. Do I throw out everything he said because of a few pages? That would be silly. So I don't know how many of you have trouble with black and white thinking. I certainly do. There's times when I need it, like when I'm being abstinent from things. But we cannot learn to love ourselves and be at peace within until we stop judging and shaming ourselves for being human, and stop fighting our own emotional process, until we stop waging war on ourselves. When bariatric professionals, or any professionals for that matter, deny the existence of food addiction, it only serves to further muddy the waters for post-ops and for recovery. Let's understand, there's some surgeons who want to operate and be done. Some are interested in the outcome and try to provide additional support for their patients. Some are great. Some don't want any part of aftercare, and that's fine with me. But saying food addiction doesn't exist is so dangerous. For years, I was so intimidated by professionals. And then Connie Stapleton comes along and blows my mind. I mean, I really try to never forget to be grateful for how available she is to us. I know that many post-ops are mega turned off by the word addiction. Again, it's a disease. And guess what most of us are feeling when we say the words, I am an addict? It's shame. So many people have said to me, I'm already called obese. Do I have to be an addict too? Well, they're looking at it as a negative label when they should realize it's a positive thing. It's a path to a solution and recovery. You know, I feel like everyone here is cool with this, but for those that aren't quite there, you know, please don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Pick the things that work for you. You know, but don't disregard, you know, just because you hear one thing, disregard it all. If something doesn't work, try something different. Example, if you're struggling with a particular food and you haven't tried abstinence yet, give it a shot. You may not ever believed in it, but again, don't knock what you haven't tried yet. Really tried? No. Okay. All right, John Bradshaw again. The central issue of food addiction allows the food addicted person to avoid dealing with threatening emotions, such as his or her perceived failure, powerlessness, or inferiority, by replacing them with guilt and shame, which are also threatening, but in a familiar, almost comfortable way. In the mind of the food-addicted person, the pivotal issue is lack of willpower, but in truth, they are using food to defend themselves against the pain in their life. That makes me sad. By facilitating this transfer and avoidance of emotions, food has become a drug, and it is at this point that the food addicted person needs to seek help. You know, binging has different meaning for most people. When I was obese, I thought it meant you ate in the closet, in the dark, whole package of Oreos and a gallon of milk. And of course, I didn't do that. So I didn't think it applied to my behavior. Denial. Finally, I realized that my weekend routine of buying a bucket of chicken and locking myself in my apartment from Friday evening until going to work on Monday morning was certainly a form of binging. And I've been talking about food addiction from the beginning, and if you think there's a lot of pushback now, oh my God, it was so bad. And of course, I was, people that know me, I'm passionate, I'll talk about it. And the professionals are saying, and who do you think you are? You know, I think it was John Bradshaw who said, no one can lead you down a path they haven't yet traveled. I get it. They are questioning my qualifications. But until you have lived in the prison of an obese body or suffered from a food disorder or been addicted to something, you cannot know. You just can't. You can kind of know, but not very well. Many long-term post-ops certainly know enough from experience that bariatric medicine is vastly misunderstood. I mean, even by some of the professionals. What do I have to back this up? Every bit of this is viewable online. The sexual and shopping addiction shortly after being thin for the first time, the new problem with alcohol and or drugs, the low self-esteem issues that never seem to improve, the lack of a knowledge about coping mechanisms, and always looking to the future for the happiness that we cannot seem to catch. We look for the future to make us happy because we have not learned about living in the now and knowing that happiness comes from within. This being in the now, do I have it down? Nah. But I'm aware, and when I start living in the past or in the future, I can usually catch myself. Something that totally blew me away, I think it was in 2008, and I have a copy of this entire letter from this doctor, but it freaked me out because it was like a guy that was like does what Connie does, And in 2008, he saw some post about the food addiction thing, and he wrote this letter, and I wanted to read it, but it's kind of long, so I'm just going to skip to where he talks about, at the end. And I will post it at some point so you can see it, because it's phenomenal. He says, the prognosis for success in weight loss surgery is quite good. Early identification is the key to successful treatment. Prior to the surgery, the pre-bariatric candidate should be evaluated by a team of professionals, including physicians, dietitians, and psychologists. If disorders of impulse control or judgment are identified, referral to the appropriate professional must occur. Rejection must not occur. After the surgery, the bariatric surgery patient must participate in follow-up services, including at minimum, individual or group therapy and support groups. Treatment must focus on changing not just physical and psychological functioning, but brain functioning. Throughout our lives, our brains are constantly revising, reinventing, and literally physically changing their structure to adapt to demands in our lives. To do this, the bariatric patient must work with a professional skilled in changing both psychological and brain functioning. These are very treatable pathways and disorders. There should be individuals in your community with these skills. When I read these accounts, it was obvious to me that many bariatric patients were not properly educated. No kidding. Evaluated or treated prior to their surgery and seemingly tossed to the winds post-surgically. Does bariatric surgery work? Yes, it does, but it must be approached with the utmost care, self-evaluation, and good judgment. For any shortcomings stemming from psychology and neuropsychology, I would like to offer my apology. For those of you still out there in the wind, I would encourage you to contact a mental health professional skilled in working with pre- and post-bariatric surgery patients. When I read this so many years ago, I was thinking, where? How? How do I get access to a therapist that knows what he's talking about and one I can afford? Connie Stapleton is your answer. Again, you cannot take things that you already have for granted. We get used to, she's here every week, right? And Connie's there. You have no idea when there was this vast black hole of nothingness out there for people after surgery. I mean, when I had surgery, Google wasn't even invented yet. So, all right. I'm going to end with a little thing I like. It's called a great recipe for life. 1, take a 10 to 30 minute walk every day. And while you walk, smile. It is the ultimate antidepressant. 2, sit in silence for at least 10 minutes each day. Talk to the God of your understanding about what is going on in your life. 3, when you wake up in the morning, complete the following statement. My purpose is to blank today. I am thankful for fill in the blank. 4, eat more foods that grow in trees and plants, and eat less food that is manufactured in plants. 5, drink green tea and plenty of water. Eat blueberries, wild Alaskan salmon, broccoli, almonds, and walnuts. 6, try to make at least 3 people smile each day. 7, don't waste your precious energy on gossip, energy vampires, issues of the past, negative thoughts, or things you cannot control. Instead, invest your energy in the positive present moment. 8, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a college kid with a maxed out charge card. 9, life isn't fair, but it's still good. 10, life is too short to waste time hating anyone. 11, don't take yourself so seriously. No one else does. 12, You are not so important that you have to win every argument. Agree to disagree. 13. Make peace with your past so it won't spoil the present. 14. Don't compare your life to others. You have no idea what their journey is about. 15. No one is in charge of your happiness except you. 16. Frame every so-called disaster with these words. In 5 years, will this matter? 17. Forgive everyone for everything. 18. What other people think of you is none of your business. 19. Life is like an elevator. Sometimes you have to stop and let other people off. 20. However good or bad a situation is, it will change. 21. Your job won't take care of you. When you're sick, your friends will. Stay in touch. 22. There's only 25. I know everybody's like, how many? 22. Envy is a waste of time. You already have all you need. 23. Each night before you go to bed, complete the following statements. I am thankful for blank. Today I accomplished blank. 24. Remember, you are too blessed to be stressed. 25. When you're feeling down, start listing your many blessings. You'll be smiling before you know it. Thank you guys so much for letting me be Connie tonight, and I hope I said or something that helped you. And I wish I could have read comments. Don't know if anybody asked me any questions or not, but thank you. And it's great being here, and I hope I get to see you on the other side, Connie on this side and me on the other side, next week. Thanks.